Oh my gosh, this was the equivalent of watching paint dry, and that probably would have been more entertaining than this movie. When are we going to get a proper Jimi Hendrix biopic? I don't think we are. If we couldn't get it with Andre 3000, we're not going to get it with nobody else. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss Jimmy all by his side. Now this movie is from 2013 and it stars Andre Benjamin 3000. Now before I get into why this movie had an opportunity to win and just absolutely didn't, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss all things why. If you cannot get the license to use the artist's music, just don't do the film. Just stop. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. We couldn't get no All Along the Watchtower. We couldn't get no Hey Joe. We couldn't get no Purple Haze. We couldn't get none of that. She just walked away. Leave it alone and let Jimmy rest. Go back. Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into this video. But before we jump into the movie, I have to give a shout out to the person who paid for and requested this video. So if you happen to get your whole psychedelic life, it's not because of me, it's because of this person right here. Thank you so much for supporting me and paying for this content. You are groovy. Now, getting into this movie, it was directed by John Ridley. He is a very notable screenwriter. Most of his work in the industry has been as a writer, and he doesn't have much experience as a director, and it definitely shows here in this film. Now, I vividly remember when this movie was even discussed and Andre 3000 was even spoken of as an option to play Jimi Hendrix, and I was so excited. Not only am I very much so familiar with Jimi Hendrix and his artistry, but at the time and even still to today, I am such a fan of Andre 3000. The Love Below was everything. I played it out till you couldn't play it no more and bought it again. And if anybody could capture the essence of a free spirit, all about the arts, the artistry, about being inventive, creative, not conforming to any norms, I want to do my own thing, it would be Andre 3000. He was always very much so out of this world. He always felt like he was on a whole different wavelength than everybody else, and he wasn't scared to be different, and he wanted to not be, pigeonholed and be in a box. Very much so Jimi Hendrix. It's a no-brainer. And I can remember when the trailer came out and I was like, I just never really gravitated to needing to watch it or had any interest. So this was a first-time watch for me. I was very familiar with the Hendrix biopic that came out in 2000, and it starred Wood Harris. And it was, a made-for-TV film. The production wasn't great, but it wasn't, it just didn't capture the full essence of him. So I thought maybe this film would be the film to do that. It wasn't. In fact, it made that 2000s Hendrix movie look like a fucking masterpiece. The direction is horrible. It goes ins and out of scenes like crazy. The movie plays out like a freaking documentary in the way that it introduces new characters, musicians, executives. It is just not good. And I absolutely get what the director was going off. This movie is not glamorized in any way. It is supposed to be, in my opinion, capturing Jimi Hendrix in his purest form. He was never, about the glamour, about the fame, it was all about him and his artistry. But the way that they did it here, it just comes off and absolutely drags, and it's so boring. It's so lackluster. And I also understand that Jimi Hendrix is a very lax person. He is the epitome epitome of what you would ever consider to be a free spirit. He invented the free spirit as far as I'm concerned. It's all about love, peace, evolution, not conforming, him wanting to do whatever he wants to do and live, that unplanned life. But that should never translate into boring. He is such an icon, all the way from his riffs, his style, his way of speaking, the way that he, did all the tricks with his guitar, the way that he changed the sound of music. He is very important, and he is, in the forefront of so many milestones in music, and very much so in the forefront of Black artists not being categorized as one thing and thrown into Black genres. He was a mixture of many things and very influential to many artists, duplicated, replicated, tried, copied, white or Black. He was a moment. He was an icon. He was a rock star. Why can't we seem to translate that onto a film and not have him as an important figure in music, period, transcend above just him being a member of the 27 Club, those illustrious, beautiful, brilliant artists like Janis Joplin, Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, Jim Morrison, who were just phenomenons and died at 27. We need to get beyond that narrative and really go deep into who he was and how he was able to transform and transcend music, all off of what he thought in his mind and what he believed his sound, his image, his output should be. Why can't we capture that shit on film? I don't know. Now, there isn't much to this film at all. It's not like we are getting the biopic that we really want, which is to follow the very early beginnings of Jimmy's career, all the way, from his young childhood, him going to the army, him performing with the likes of Little Richard and the Isley Brothers. No, we pick a particular time in his career of him just, kind of being discovered and being pushed into stardom, and we don't go beyond, maybe a year or so of his life. Jimmy is discovered early on in his career by Keith Richards' girlfriend Linda. She saw something in him. Jimi Hendrix was very much so ahead of his time then, and people, Black or white, didn't get it. But Linda does get it, so much so that she is willing to support him, get him seen by the right people, get him constant auditions, and even lets him use Keith Richards' guitar. Now, if you are at all the bare minimum of a Jimi Hendrix fan, you are familiar with all of this. This movie does not introduce anything new. It does not spark any real interest for Jimi Hendrix and his artistry. But we do know for the most part that these were the times of, artists like Muddy Waters, Ray Charles, Etta James, whole Chess Records crew in them. And this was a time for Black artists to remain in a box. You were rhythm and blues, you were soul, you stayed there. And here comes this Black man wanting to do something different. But we do see for the most part, he was never built to play behind anyone. He was extraordinary in his own right. Now, about 15 to 20 minutes into the film, personally, I was already done once I realized this really isn't about him as a game changer or a musician at all. We are spending countless time with Jimi Hendrix and the numerous women that may have been in his life, though they may have been, to advance his career, like a Linda. We were way too focused on those moments. It's the 60s, they're dropping acid, it's not inviting, and you find yourself just absolutely not caring. Now, what I can say for the most part is Andre did a great job capturing all of Jimmy's essence, the mannerisms, the way that he walked, his hair, his, speech, the dialect that he was using. It was very much so giving Jimi Hendrix. And it was just so disappointing that he was giving such this great role. You could tell that he really threw himself into the role and that he really studied him and the way that he would do things or say things, like he did his homework, and who better to do it than an artist like him. But it just felt like it was wasted here, and I really wish that we could have got it somewhere else with a better director and a better script. Now, the film also takes a lot of time to depict him as this angry, using, temperamental ass, narcissist figure. I don't know him in depth to know if that's true or not, but I can remember watching the Wood Harris Hendrix 2000s film, and none of that was present. So just to see this whole thing change here, it's a difference between, you know, him just being a free spirit and kind of being a womanizer. But when we get into stuff like, you know, we do know that he had, you know, the black girlfriend that was kind of holding him down while he was trying to discover himself and get a little gig here and there and just really trying to get his foot in the door as far as music. But there is a big difference between him just being that typical asshole womanizer and just being a downright psychopath as abuser. Like, there was some shit here in this film out of nowhere. As boring as it was, I was like, well, what the hell was that, and where did that come from? Is this true? Is this? I did read up on, you know, as much as I can in the brief period that I had. And I've also seen other documentaries with Jimi Hendrix. Nothing displayed there just warranted some of the shit that we get later here in this film. So not only do we have, you know, Linda trying to get him a deal, and we're meeting, you know, band member, bassist, executive. After, you know, I love how they had the name pop up on the screen like that was supposed to mean something to us. Absolutely dumb. But there is no presence at all of music in this film. It is not here. For an artist like this one, it's needed. And from my understanding, who's ever over his estate or his music, his catalog, they won't release it to, you know, be used in film, which I don't understand, because any film, you know, still to this day, if there is an army scene, a life-changing scene, you know that somebody in a movie has went to Vietnam or the war. We got to hear All Along the Watchtower, or Hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? We can release it all day long for those films, but we can't release it for his own. It absolutely sucked, especially when we get into what, you know, some people might not know who don't know him. He never wanted to use his voice. He was pushed more by Linda and other people who believed in him so much as a performer. You can't be in the background. So even more so for you not to be in the background, you need to be in the front, not only playing that guitar, doing your thing, doing your riffs, but you need to sing. And the fact that he didn't even think that he had much of a voice just kills you, because, you know, you get that you're a cute little heartbreaker, foxy. Like, his voice is like very unique. Or, you know, my favorite song, the wind cries Mary, that is my shit. After all the checks are in their boxes, and the clouds have gone to bed, hey, footprints dressed in red, and the wind whispers, Mary, it slapped. If we could not get, like, we can get it for all the commercials and all the Vietnam War movies, but we just can't seem to get it for his own film. That sucks. They will never let us have some, you know, let me stand next to your fire. We will never get that in a film, which completely takes away from the film, because that means, you know, all of his best moments, like him performing at certain concerts or him, you know, performing at Woodstock, we're not going to get to see that because we're not licensed to use the music. And then the movie and the writing and the direction just sucks as a whole. Ugh. So with that element lacking here, it takes away also from his creative process. Once we have him, you know, I guess you could say get discovered, and you have someone believe in him and want to take him over to London to pop, it just drags so much. We're left with that weird relationship with Linda, and we weren't here for Linda, we were here for Jimmy. And then we have him discovering or trying to get into different members of his band and who he should bring on and who matches his sound and who just gets him as a person. But without us being able to see his creative process, because we don't have license to the music, everything here just makes him look like a withdrawn, depressed, asshole. Like, it was like almost a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type situation. It was just so unwelcoming. Not only would you not really want to dip your toe and discover more about him as a person in his music, you just actually don't like him as a person. And it's like, is this true? Is this real? And that does not ring any more truer than it does when we are introduced to Kathy. A bulk of this film is dedicated to his relationship with Kathy, and there are just more and more toxic scenes after another. Now, we do have the actual Kathy. I believe she spoke on this film. She's written books, and she's always been, really supportive of Jimmy and his memory and making sure, he lives on and he's not forgotten. And she speaks really highly of him, even down to this film. She thought that this film was very disgusting and untrue. She was not rocking with it. When we get into their relationship, now we do understand very much so that Jimmy does not take much of anything too serious. That is, really strong points in his relationships, especially with Linda. They want him to take life more seriously, take his artistry more seriously. We have various moments here of other people just wanting him to acknowledge the fact that he is a black man. Everything just comes really easily to him. It's like even flow. Like, yeah, I don't want to, be standing for injustices or speaking to a certain group of people. I don't want to have to, stricken myself to only speaking for a black audience just because I'm a black man. Why can't I be free to do and say as I please without being judged? Why can't I be like an Eric Clapton or, like the Rolling Stones? Why can't I just be? Why do I have to stand with and for a purpose just because I'm black? Nobody else is being held to their standard. All alone, his music was speaking to that anyway. He just really didn't know it at the time. Now, of course, through the film, we know that this is solely about his artistry. He only wants to perform. Do I want, the accolades and to be on the charts and to be, held to a certain standard that my white counterparts are? For sure, but this isn't solely about that. I don't want to compromise who I am, my sound, or have to be acceptable in, certain spaces to be a certain way. I just want to perform. I just want to be me. I just want my band to represent that. I want to be creative. But via this film, that is rarely what's coming across. What's coming across here is a complete narcissist. He is so arrogant, so damn near unlikable at some sorts. We have him create off the fly moments, creating friction within his band and just being a little tasteless there. You have him absolutely being so righteous all the time, not listening to a single soul. Nobody can tell him anything about anything. He has his own opinion in the way that he wants to do things, and that's all that matters, which is, great. Be an artist, but he's so arrogant and unlikable here that you just want to cut your damn TV off. We have him have that friction with his upbringing and his relationship with his father, but we don't really know anything about it because we didn't even spend any real time elaborating on that to know why there would be any friction with his father. But we know that, his family never really believed in him in that way. We know that he never really had the presence of his mother, which is supposed to add to why he's such a womanizer and so passive aggressive as far as women are concerned. But it's lacking here. The story is lacking and it makes you not like him. So even though we have him coming from a background of not being supported by his family, there being a disconnect there and him feeling like a loner, him, fighting in a time of injustice and racism and dealing with people trying to belittle him, not only as a person, not only as an artist, but as a black artist. And he's not really having any room to just be him and just be a creative soul. All of that shit is tossed out of the window when we instantly make him fucking Ike Turner Jr. Where? We are Ike Turner Jr. and we're just, an emotional wreck, but, all we do is smoke weed. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need y'all to drop a couple of more scenes than a little psychedelic acid drop scene, because clearly we're on a little bit more than cannabis. Chow, he was completely off of it. Once we have that relationship introduced with Kathy, the film just goes left. It turned into what's love got to do with it. We have him, trying to create all the while, him taking out his frustrations on her, them being, you know, toxic towards one another, but that kind of being their relationship in the first place. But we also have that sense of, you know, is she a groupie? We have other groupies coming up, or people who perceive her to be a certain way, a female who pretty much wants to take her spot. She begins to, you know, drop seeds of doubt, implementing, you know, alcohol and drugs. Everything is just shot in the weirdest, dumbest fucking way to just take you out of the scene, and you can't really even follow what's going on, but you know that you have an entity influencing their relationship to where it's getting a little bit more heightened, to where it is abusive, but you see that that presence was already there. When we have him just get irate after a situation with, you know, his music and things not charting, and, you know, him being dropped, and just things not going in his favor as an artist. This is the year that he was trying to get on and he hadn't popped yet, and he comes out of a bathroom thinking that she's talking to whomever and fucking flips out and beats her with the phone. We've had the actual Kathy say that that never happened, and like it was really tasteless of them to put that there, but it's like, damn, if that's the case, why? And it was almost like, you know, this movie has been a fucking bore this entire time, so let's throw this in here to, you know, switch it up. It was in poor taste, it was done in poor taste, and it was horrible. And then we get into that psycho Joker ass energy with him, you know, giving her that Ike Turner, you know, hey, here's your mess, clean yourself up, love you, babe. You can't give us, you know, groovy, psychedelic, I'm above it all, I'm all about my music, you know, I'm like a bird, I only fly away. You can't give us that, you know, I'm at my level, I'm trying to reach my level here, there, on the spectrum, but yeah, love, yeah, that's all cool and dandy, but are we that and this psycho? Or did y'all just throw us this psycho as decoration because your movie was boring as fuck? If so, y'all out of line. I mean, where is the real essence of Jimmy in this film outside of Andre 3000's good performance here? Most of the time he sounds like he's speaking gibberish, but if you actually really listen to him, he was very much so genius. He was ahead of his time, and he just saw the world differently and refused to conform to the norm. And he loved his music. Here, you just feel like he likes women, he's abusive, he likes weed, and he only cares about his music, could give a damn about any equality outside of equality for himself, and damn near felt like he didn't even care about being black or really wanted to accept any of the stimulations that came along with being a black artist or a black person. Like, it was just really, it was not tasteful, which only leaves us with a film that has a moody, temperamental, mean artist who, if he wasn't, you know, wrapped up in his music, he was often maybe depressed and trying to oppress and depress the women that surrounded him. And they were so interchangeable, and he used them, you know, at his convenience, and kind of used them as a muse and move on until I guess he got to where he wanted to be in his career. So we have a psycho, abusive womanizer who can riff. That's not a good movie. But this film manages to leave us with pretty much two things. The fact that Jimi Hendrix was not an overnight sensation. Nobody really believed in him at first until he popped. We have that grand performance in the end, at which we have Kathy all in the hospital, at which he opts to try to bring Linda along and tell Kathy once she gets out that she can't come with him on tour. Total asshole. We are left with the idea that Andre 3000 could have been an amazing Jimi Hendrix if given the opportunity to have it done correctly in the proper setting, and that, you know, Jimi Hendrix was a womanizer who only cared about his music and liked to smoke weed. Brilliant. Well, you guys, that was my review for Jimmy all by his side. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please drop down and tell me what you thought about my review and what you thought about this film. What, you know, perception did it give you of Jimi Hendrix, if any? Did you feel like there was quality here, or were you more in the vein of me and you just didn't really fuck with this film like that? I look forward to reading you guys' comments. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment down there. That helps me out. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.